And we are back to Rise Up with B. Dave Walters. Simple solutions to life's hard questions. Broadcasting live on Party 93.4 FM and 94.9 out of Hudson Valley, New York. Worldwide on party934.com. And as always, the video stream of this is broadcasting live on justin.tv/B. Dave Walters. And by the way, I always upload all the videos afterwards to YouTube, youtube.com/B. Dave Walters. And I put the recordings of these up on my Facebook fan page, which you might have guessed is facebook.com/B. Dave Walters. So Twitter, YouTube, MySpace, Facebook, WordPress, Blogger, pretty much any site that you can think of, I'm pretty much there at B. Dave Walters. Okay, so there was one other thing that I meant to say here as we move into the questions, because let me lay on you the first question that I've got here, which I apparently scrolled past. And it's, if you could go back in time 10 years and tell your younger self something, what would it be? And this kind of goes directly into what we were talking about a moment ago that I wanted to share with you. If you like who you are, or at the very minimum, if you're glad to be alive, realize everything that's happened to you up until now has contributed directly into who you are at this exact second. So even if there's things you don't like about yourself, if there's anything you do like about yourself, everything that's happened to you up until now helped contribute to that. So you don't necessarily have to look at the past like this huge, like, negative ocean that you've just got to erase like Johnny Mnemonic. Not at all. You just have to release the negativity that you're still carrying with you about some events from the past. Because when you release that negativity that you've been carrying around, then you can stop playing that out again. You can stop putting that situation into the future. Does that make sense? And you'll only be left with happy memories, and then you can start creating happy situations in your life. Now, if I could go back in time and tell myself something 10 years ago, if anything, I would just say enjoy the ride. Because I'm fortunate that I got no regrets. I have no regrets whatsoever. And I have no regrets for the reasons that I just told you. Because even if there's things that I can look back and I can say, well, maybe I wish this hadn't gone that way, the fact is every single thing has led to me to this exact second. Every single thing has led me to having this conversation with you right now. And so if I'm having this conversation with you, then how can I regret anything? So I would tell myself, enjoy the ride. And maybe date less psychos. But by the same token, all the psychos I dated gave me the information that I'm able to share with you now. In fact, that's how I got into coaching. I don't know if you know this. I started learning psychology and self-development, NLP and stuff, because I wanted to help the endless string of damaged girls that I was dating. But that was before I got out of being a helper, because besides the fact they don't need my help, secondly, they don't want my help for the reasons that we've already explained. So little nugget of joy there. So I guess even the heartbreak and anxiety and things that I had to endure contributed directly to us being here now today. So I regret nothing. All right. Another question. What do you think of cheating in a relationship? Is it ever justified? No, not justified ever. Never, not ever. No. No, 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 no. Don't cheat. Don't cheat. And I'd like to reiterate, do not cheat. Why do I say this? Chances are you wouldn't want them to cheat on you. That's the first thing. Second of all, it is very selfish because you are holding on to this other person because they're giving you something. Like maybe they're a place to live. Maybe they pay your rent. Maybe they pay your bills, but you're unfulfilled in the relationship. But I have to say, it's actually kind of cowardly for you to stay in a relationship for economic purposes and manipulative to take from someone and then go and give back your emotion and your physical affection to someone else. So the fact of the matter is, if you feel unfulfilled in your relationship, the fact is you should resolve it. Learn how to communicate openly with your partner and try and find ways that you can feel more enticed and more encouraged and more excited in the confines of your own relationship. And if you can't do that, then start looking towards dissolving the relationship. So no, It is, and I very rarely say never, but no, not ever, never is it okay to cheat in a relationship. Who knows? Maybe you guys can create an open relationship. Maybe you become swingers together, and if you both decide that you're kind of going to see people on the sides, then that's cool because it's not cheating anymore. It's an agreement, right? But when you're sneaking out to see someone else and do things with someone else that you know your partner would be hurt and not approved by, don't do it at all. And because the reality is a cheater is a liar, and a liar can't be trusted. And if you don't have trust, what else is there in a relationship? And side note, if you're single but you're messing around with somebody who knows you know is in a relationship, that makes you just as guilty. It does. Because I've had people tell me that. It's like, well, she's got a boyfriend, but I don't have a girlfriend, so I'm not cheating. Yeah, yeah, you are. Don't mess around with people who are taken. And if you think for some reason, and this happens, that you think he's going to leave his wife for you, or you think she's going to leave her husband for you, if she does, you will then be involved with a cheater. And you will never forget that they betrayed someone else's trust to be with you, and you will always know in the back of your mind that they're capable of betraying your trust to be with someone else. And you'll always have this big black lump of yuckiness in the middle of the relationship that will stop you from having true intimacy. So the idea there then is if you're thinking about cheating, you have two choices to make. One, do I want to stay with my current partner? Yes or no? And two, do I want to be with this new person? Yes or no? And they're separate things. Don't look at it as, do I want to leave my wife for this woman? Because that will only lead to chaos. Okay? And I tell you why. If you leave your boyfriend for the next guy, or if you leave your girlfriend for the next girl, the very first time the new person messes up, you'll instantly be comparing them to the old person. Well, that's not how she made pancakes. That's not how, he was in bed, right? And it'll become this comparison where the new person can never quite live up. And you'll always be judging them through the lens of what? The past, right? So that's why you need to look at your relationship and say, is this relationship done? Yes or no? Because then, whether or not it works out with the new person, you won't feel the need to go running back to the old person. Does that make sense? That's why you have to decide, are we done? Yes or no? Do I want the new person? Yes or no? Right? Because that just makes things easier on you. Because doing it any other way is always going to keep you twisted up about the old person, keep you twisted up about the next person. And of course, you have to complete the past, as we've said many times, to stop you from getting into the same twisted up relationship again and again. Okay? Now, I'm going through a huge list of questions here, and some of them are good for us right now, and some of them are not good for us right now. So if I have a 5 seconds lapse, it's because I'm kind of going through the ones that I want to share with you as we go through here. Okay, here's one. Have I ever watched the movie The Matrix? What do I think of it? Do we live in the Matrix, or is this reality? Well, let me just say first of all that the Matrix trilogy is like the greatest series of movies in the history of ever, like ever, forever, ever. I didn't think anything could be better than Star Wars in my mind, but The Matrix is it. So yeah, kind of like The Matrix. And if you haven't seen The Matrix, the idea is that we're basically trapped in this simulation, and that human beings are basically slaves. Well, specifically, machines have turned human beings into batteries to live off of our bioenergy. But the idea is that we live in this construct, and that this is not real reality, and we've got to wake up from it. And the answer is yes, we do actually live in the Matrix, and no, this is not reality, and yes, you are asleep right now. And basically, again, simple physics tells us that, right? That what we see now, what you see around you, is not really here. This isn't actually existing. It's actually one big illusion. When you get down into atoms and molecules, atoms are like 70% empty space. You have a proton and a neutron and an electron. or multiple protons, multiple neutrons, multiple electrons that are kind of hanging out around each other, and they make molecules of stuff, right? But they're mostly empty space. Like anything that you think is solid is not really solid. It's actually mostly empty. And even then, it's not actually there. It's just vibration, right? The sun in your physical body and a rock at their core, at their deepest core, are literally made from the exact same substance. If you've ever heard of like superstring theory or even quantum theory, is the idea that way down less small that everything is made out of these particles called quanta, which are actually kind of, like foam, basically. That's where if you've ever heard the quantum foam, that's what they're talking about. Or superstring gets something even smaller than that, that everything is made out of super small one-dimensional strings that vibrate. But the idea is that what you think is hard, what you think is real, what you think is tangible, isn't. I mean, it's really not. This isn't like some hippie psych out. I mean, it's really not. It's just the way our brains process information. It's like the same way when you look at the sun. Actually, a better example is leaves. Why are leaves on plants green? And believe it or not, leaves on plants actually aren't green. In fact, they're everything but green. But when the light hits the leaf and reflects it, all the other colors are absorbed but green. It reflects off the light or reflects off the leaf, and our eyes perceive it as being green. Okay? So, no, things aren't as they seem, like at all. And that's even before you add into it the idea of a spiritual realm, like we talked at length last week about the Kabbalah and the Tree of Life and God and where God is and what God is like, and why it is that we cannot perceive these things. And the reality is we can't perceive these things because we're not paying attention. The sense of isolation is it's a byproduct of our perceptions. Does that make sense? That you have to train yourself to start to pay attention to more than just what you can see and hear and smell and taste and touch. And realistically, most of us aren't even paying attention to what we can see and hear and smell and touch. And I can prove this to you. Right now, notice how your left foot feels. Like, what do you feel? Do you have socks on? Is it barefoot? Is your foot on the floor? Are you propped up on a chair? Just feel the sensations of your foot. Feel your right ear. Become aware of your right ear. And when you think about it, feel the blood rushing through it. And it actually probably kind of becomes a little bit tingly when you think about it. That's kind of neat, isn't it? But the fact is that information was there. All the things you can see in your environment, hear in your environment, smell in it, they were already there. You were just ignoring them because you're kind of half asleep. Because we're all half asleep. And realistically, it would be impossible to be 100% aware of everything going on all the time. Well, it's not possible, but it would be kind of a freak out. But that's when we talk about the idea of being present. Being present means you're actually there in the room right now. You're actually aware of what the clothes feel like on your back. You're actually aware of what the chair feels like under your bottom, of what my voice sounds like in your ears, or what my face looks like to your eyes if you're watching this online. That you feel your breath coming in and out of your body. And the cool thing about being present is when you're present and you're right here and you're really here, and your mind's not running off to the past or the future, when you're really here, you actually feel really peaceful and really calm. Because right now, at this exact second, everything is peaceful and everything is calm. Even if insanity is taking place around you, the fact is, if you're present to it, then you can respond to it appropriately without seeing it through these lenses and filters, right? So it's a neat thing. And that's what meditation is for, by the way, is to bring you present to the present moment. All right. Next question. What are the most basic things one could start doing to get on the road and thought process of being thinking positive? I'm a long time worrier here, plus not the most positive person. What are the baby steps? Please tell me, because I'd like to start off on the right path. First of all, I wrote an article about this very thing on theexaminer.com that you can look up, and it's called Staying Out of the Prison of Fear, or Who Are You Really? And I actually just reposted this article up on my Facebook profile, which facebook.com/bdavewalters. Although I think I put this up on my personal profile. So find me on Facebook. Shoot me a friend request. I'd love to have you. And my friend list is almost full. So if you haven't done it yet, do it soon. Or we may not be able to be friends, but you can still be a fan. And that's cool. The first thing for somebody who's a longtime worrier is to recognize that worry doesn't help at all. Like, at all. Like, the number one reason to be a positive person is because being a negative person doesn't get you anywhere. Stress kind of kills you. Okay? Like, besides the law of attraction, besides the higher metaphysical stuff, besides all of that, just if you want to live, you should break the habit of worrying. Because what worry does, as we've discussed, is you take a problem from the future, a hypothetical problem from the future, and you bring it into the present. You make yourself feel yucky right now about something that hasn't even happened, and your body reacts physically like it's already happened. Okay? That's what stress is. And that's what keeps you constantly run down to the point that your physical system will give out. And one day you'll have a stroke or a heart attack and drop dead because you spent years anguishing over stuff that didn't even actually happen, right? So the first thing you got to do is realize that it's really worth doing to cultivate a positive attitude. The second thing is realize that 100% worst case, something good is equally likely as something bad happening. 50-50. And when you start to look at it right, you'll realize that there really is nothing bad that can happen to you. Things just happen. They just happen. And we apply our meanings to it and we make it mean things, right? Like we said about completing the past. What happened, happened. You made it mean what you made it mean. What's going to happen is going to happen, and you're going to make it mean what you make it mean. Like I believe I've shared with you, I have a tremendous challenges in my life. At this exact second, I've got some huge challenges that I've got to deal with and overcome, but I'm not really worried about it. If you can see me, I don't really look stressed because I know that a way will present itself. Like that song I played right at the beginning, you know, Jesus will work it out, right? That as long as I am aware and connected, right, to God, connected to the universe, and I'm consciously co-creating solutions, I am both doing all that I can and keeping my eyes open for signs and symbols and nudges from God to take certain actions or do certain things, then I know that what else is there? All you can do is all you can do, right? And so as you start to set your mind on what you do want to happen, you just have to cultivate the habit of putting your mind on what you do want versus what you don't want. Because whatever you put your mind on is the one that you're going to be bringing into your life. And so that's the simplest answer. In any given situation, decide what you do want and think about what you do want. And when whatever comes, still look at the good things in it. Does that make sense? Like you may decide that you really want pizza for lunch. But when the pizza comes, it's pepperoni instead of hamburger. It's like, well, I mean, still pizza, so good times. Maybe it's not pizza. Maybe it's I don't know, chicken parmesan. Hey, it's still got marinara. It's still Italian. Good times. Maybe it's not that at all, but you can still be grateful for the fact that you got to eat lunch because a lot of people in the world didn't. You understand what I'm saying? You frame it in such a way that's going to make you feel good. You consciously choose to look at things in a way that helps you see them in a positive light, right? And anybody that's a pessimist or even says they're quote unquote realist, most realists are just pessimists and admit that they're pessimists. What difference does it make? It doesn't really get you anywhere. There's a lot of power in seeing things just pretty much neutrally, but that's hard to do. So if you can't see things totally neutrally, choose to see them positively and realize that it is a choice. It's a decision that you have to make again and again and again, especially if you're used to if you're used to living into a pattern of worry, used to living into a pattern of anxiety. In absolute worst case, whenever a situation comes up and you start to have these problems, just ask yourself, what is this getting me? What is this worry getting me? And do something to disrupt that pattern. It might even be something so simple as stand up and clap your hands. It sounds silly, but it's true. It's true. If you're really upset about something, stand up, look at the ceiling, put your shoulders back, and smile as big as you can. Just like a huge, goofy smile up at the ceiling. And you'll feel better in about 5 seconds. Okay, it's another trick from NLP that our mind and our bodies are actually consciously interwoven. And if you need to break a certain thought pattern, then break your physical pattern. If you want to change your thoughts, physically get up, move around, do something, and that will help. And then consciously guide your thoughts back to what you want and what you want to think about. You've spent a lot of years just kind of letting your mind run wild, and it takes time and effort to get it under control, but it's worth it because, as we said, the alternative will kind of make you miserable and then kill you. So I think it's probably worthwhile to learn how to do this. Next question. What's the fastest, best way to manifest my soulmate? I know exactly the kind of person I want. I try to visualize, but it's not manifesting. Any steps I can follow, or could you suggest an article or video that might help? And yes, I can. I wrote for the examiner.com two. One was, what did I call it? Let's see. Let me click the link. I gave them a link. Let's see what I recommended to them. The first one on examiner.com is Flying Time and Watching Plots, or Patience is a Virtue. This is just how to be more patient. Flying Time and Watching Plots, or Patience is a Virtue. And the other article I suggested to them was How to Be Mrs. Right, or Spiritual Loving 2. How to Be Mr. or Mrs. Right, or Spiritual Loving 2. So the first thing is, remember we said before that when you get into these like positive thinking type things, the secret, the law of attraction, you want to think about these things as often as possible as you can while staying positive about it, because who knows how long it's really going to take. I mean, God might have to bring your soulmate from Paraguay or something, or take you to Paraguay to meet them. Could take some time, right? And the reality is, it's going to get here when it gets here. So why worry about it? Okay? Why anguish about it? When you realize, you start to think, well, it's not working, then you've gone too far. Just put it totally out of your mind, okay? Because your positive intention in things, it's like turning on a pot of boiling water. And every time you allow your mind to get distracted or allow yourself to turn into negativity, it's like you turn the fire off the water. Now, if you snap out of it quickly and get back on track to positive, then you turn the fire right back on. You might not lose any heat. But if you are positive for 5 minutes and then negative for an hour, that water's gone stone cold, and it's going to take that much longer for you to get there. Okay? Now, if you're not sure who you want, if you're not sure the type of person that you want for your mate, then the first thing to decide is what you don't want. What you don't want. And you can sit down and you can just make a list of the traits that you do not want in a mate, and that should be very easy. You don't want them too fat, too skinny, too tall, too short, too black, too white, hair too long, too short. Whatever. It's your list. You know, it's your private thing. You can just put together your custom ordered wish list to the universe, right? And get very specific. If you really want a redhead with freckles and green eyes, that's fine. That's fine. And you want her to be a world Mortal Kombat champion and enjoy mountain biking, all of that is fine too. But realize two things. First of all, what kind of guy is that woman going to be attracted to? And is that guy you? And if that guy is not you, start actively working to turn yourself into the type of man that woman wants. Now, I tell people this, and a lot of times it's like, oh, I shouldn't have to change. They should want me just the way I am. And then maybe so, maybe so. But has that worked out for you so far? Because if you don't have that relationship with that person, then you need to do something different to find that relationship with that person. Does that make sense? And then ask yourself, where is this person going to be? Where is the type of man that you're looking for? If you want a multi-million-dollar husband, you're probably not going to meet him hanging out in the parking lot of 7-Eleven. You might, but probably not. Where's this type of guy go? If you want an NBA player, where do NBA players hang out? And go put yourself there. Go put yourself in those environments and go put yourself there. Remember, this co-creation, this idea again. You got to meet the universe halfway. Do what you can to meet that person, right? So that's basically what I would say. First of all, be clear on what you want. Second of all, start preparing yourself to be that person. And notice, I'm not saying lie. I'm not saying lie and say you're this person. I mean, actually turn yourself into the mate that this person's going to want. If you're looking to date a bodybuilder and you've got 30% body fat, they're probably not going to be into that. If you want a bodybuilder, maybe you got to work out. If you want a marathoner, maybe you got to do some running. Does that make sense? And then put yourself in the environment where you can meet these people. And that's the fastest way to attract your soulmate. And be patient until it happens. Okay? Let's see here. That's not good. Let's see. Okay. Are there any excellent self-help books you can recommend on controlling your worry, fear, and anxiety? I was a bit overwhelmed with all the suggestions on Amazon. Well, there's the articles that I wrote on fear and worry that are both up on theexaminer.com. You can find a lot of this stuff on my Facebook fan page. The Power of Now was also really good. There's a book called The Phobia and Anxiety Workbook that's really good. And of course, the book that I wrote, 49 Lost Secrets of Peace, Love, and Money, which you can find on my website, which is peacelovemoney.com. Yeah, so check that out. That's what I'd say. Next question. I don't know how to stop the negative thoughts. They're literally taking over my life, and I'm paralyzed by fear. Are you sensing a pattern here, by the way? You hearing this? Because I'm just going down the list. This isn't me like picking out certain questions. They kind of come in waves, right? Like whatever you're up against right now, whatever's going through your mind, whatever issues that you may have, I guarantee you other people got them, and other people got them much worse. So don't be too hard on yourself. A lot of us have just been trained and conditioned to have this negative worry, this negative fear, and this anxiety about what's going to happen in the future, and it doesn't serve. It doesn't serve. All right. I've answered this question basically over like the last, I don't know, hour and 45 minutes, so I'm not going to reiterate it here, but or I will reiterate briefly if maybe you didn't take from this. When the negative thoughts come, disrupt that pattern. Just change what you're doing right then. Just change your mind completely. Stand up, walk around, splash water on your face, drink something cold, drink something hot, anything to just kind of shake yourself out of it right then, and then consciously direct your thoughts towards something else. And if these negative ideas keep coming up, don't be afraid to talk to yourself directly. Talk to your own subconscious mind, because man, it's talking to you, and just say, that's not helping. I understand that you're trying to help me. You can even say this to other people. That's fine. Like, Mom, Dad, that's not helping. I understand that you're trying to help me. I understand that you want what's right for me. But what you're doing is hurting me. So how can we work together to create something new? And you'd be surprised. Your own mind, inside your own head, will respond to that. And hopefully people in your life will respond to it too. All right, next question. Can the law of attraction work to attract something negative into another's life? This thought is terrifying me because every time I read or hear something bad, I always worry about it happening to my child. I'm terrified that because I fear it so much, it might happen. And the answer is yes, absolutely yes, 100% yes. If you're worried about bad things happening to your kids, then you absolutely are making it more likely that bad things are going to happen to your kids. So don't. Right? Don't. Okay? Worry is not going to bring anything positive into your life. And more importantly, faith and worry cannot exist side by side. I shared this with you before. When you worry, you're telling God that God cannot handle your problem, and therefore you got to do something about it. You're like, sorry, universe, sorry, God, sorry, mother, sorry, father, sorry, Jesus, sorry, Buddha, sorry, Muhammad, sorry, Allah, sorry, everybody. None of you can help me. I got to help me. And then I can't help me, so I'm just going to stay up all night kind of wringing my fingers, right? Just stop. Stop. It's your job as a parent to prepare your children, okay? It is not your job to indoctrinate them with fear, okay? It's your job to make sure that they're aware that there's dangers in this world and that they need to be careful and they need to think before they act and look before they leave. But it's not your job to make them think that the sky is falling and that the boogeyman is going to come all the time, right? So have some faith. Have some faith in God. Have some faith in the universe. Have some faith in yourself. Have some faith in your children that everything's going to work out fine. And then keep your eyes open, right? If you see something going wrong, if you get your gut feeling something smells like a rat, then it probably is. But the thing is, when you worry all the time, you throw your intuition off. I know somebody who's like this, a very intuitive person that usually has a very keen insight into people, into what's going on. But the thing is, they worry so much that they throw it off, and it just totally distorts their ability to perceive what's actually happening, right? And you'll start to, if you worry all the time, you'll filter everything through that lens of worry, and then everything will look bad no matter what. Okay? So the answer to that is yes. Your worry can absolutely manifest bad things in other people's lives. Your worry can absolutely manifest bad things in your children's lives. So use all the tools that I've given you up until now to stop doing that. Stop right now, today. Next question. What do you think about online dating sites? I think they're great. I think they're great. You may not know this. I actually met my wife on an online dating site. What online dating sites do, I was about to say does, but I don't think that's the proper English. What online dating sites do is they basically just remove time and space from the dating equation. That's all, really. I mean, think about it right now to meet somebody, what has to happen? Either somebody has to set you up, or you have to be in the same place at the same time, find each other attractive, and have the opportunity to interact, right? All four of those things have to take place. Online dating, on the other hand, you can decide precisely what type of person you're looking for. As we already said, that's important. You can look and see who fits the criteria that you're looking for, and it doesn't matter where they are, and it doesn't matter when they are, and you still can find a way to reach out and connect with them. Now after that, it's all the same, okay? I mean, people can still misrepresent themselves in their dating profiles. I don't know how many times I've seen people say things like they love going out and camping on the weekends, but still enjoy quiet evenings at home. I'm all like, man, you ain't been camping since you were like in Boy Scouts, right? So it's not some magical silver bullet. People can still misrepresent themselves, put up old photos, write things about themselves that aren't true. And more importantly, when you get together, there still has to be chemistry. And that can be a risk because when you meet online, quite often it's easy to feel a click because you're idealizing this person and you're filling in the gaps in who they are and making them into who you want them to be. And sometimes when you actually meet face to face, that spark's not really there. So that can always be a risk. But I think it's fantastic. I mean, hey, it's the year 2011. Some people say like, oh, I don't want to do that. It'll make me feel like a loser. And I'm all like, and you think going to the bar to meet guys is somehow better? Like that doesn't make you a loser, right? I mean, but hey, what do I know? I just kind of found a loving, supportive, fantastic relationship online. So I may not know what I'm talking about. And I've helped other people do it too. Okay, next question. I fooled around, not sex, with a friend's husband or wife, but you know it was a mistake. Is there any reason to tell the friend? How does one make amends? I'm deeply sorry, but I do not want to make matters worse. Just so happens, this person that submitted this question, it was submitted anonymously. I didn't know at the time, but this person actually kept messing around with the friend's husband, and it was just insane. That was an insane situation. I don't want to say anymore because who knows if you know him, but that one was one of the craziest ones I've ever dealt with. Specifically, and I got a lot of feedback on this one actually, and people were split pretty much right down the middle as to whether or not to tell the friend. But my advice, believe it or not, was no, no, don't tell the friend. I think most people thought I would have said, just go ahead, test and tell the whole thing, but nope, nope. First and foremost, stop messing around with the husband. I had to say multiple times, stop messing around with the husband. And if you're listening and you know who you are, oh my God, please stop messing around with the husband if you still are. Because the problem with telling the wife is it was going to make a lot of drama and baggage come up. And the thing is, a lot of feedback that I heard was, well, she should know that her husband's a cheater. But human nature being what it is, we tend to do a little thing called shoot the messenger, right? And it's easy to blame the friend. So what I told them was basically get out of this situation. Get out of this situation completely. Stop messing around with the husband. And really, you probably should stop hanging around with that friend because their presence in your life is a toxic one, and your presence in their life is a toxic one. If anybody needs to tell the wife, the husband needs to tell the wife, and he needs to make amends to his wife. Okay? That's what needs to happen there. But oof, that one was crazy. In fact, I need to follow up with that person and see if that situation has been fixed yet. Ugh. All right. Next question. On The Secret. Okay, this one. I gotta read this one. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to having to filter it. This is English as a second language type question here. On The Secret, it's been told that your body cell regenerate and even rebuild every organ and whatsoever. That means we have a brand new young body within a year. How come we're still getting old since it's no matter for the cells? And this is actually a really big thing. It's true. I don't know if you knew this, but every single cell in your body replaces itself every 5 years. Everything. You are literally not the person you were 5 years ago. If not 5 years ago, not 10 years ago. And so, why do we age? Why do we have sickness? Why do we perpetuate injuries? And the answer is because that is what your own mind has been programmed with. Okay? When you hear about using positive thinking to cure these chronic illnesses, and a lot of times people dismiss it like, oh, well, that's just dumb or whatever, but it really can change everything. If you've got an injury or some kind of medical condition that's lasted more than 5 years or so, your body has built itself over again completely, okay? And yet you still brought this with you. And that's why I've said again and again, there's no such thing as an incurable illness. An incurable illness doesn't exist because your body built itself from scratch once and it can build itself from scratch again. You just have to give it the opportunity to do it. And the way you do that is you choose health. You choose health and you live into health and you live into the belief that you're completely whole and healthy right now, not the belief that you're going to get better, because believing that you're going to get better is the same as saying that you're sick right now. That's not what you want to do. Now, this can be tough at first, especially if you're feeling pain, if you're feeling discomfort from some of these things right now, but you really have to stay connected to your healing and stay connected to your wellness, because that is what's going to cause your body to regenerate itself. Remember, anything you've anybody been with, somebody's healed. There's human beings that have completely cured HIV and AIDS in their own bodies. There's people that have completely beat cancer. There's even people that have regenerated like organs and arms and legs and stuff. You might not believe this, but it's true. It's happened. And this is basically why. Their belief was such and strong enough that their body responded to create this new way and this new life. So we're closing in on our last few minutes here together. We're under about the 5 minute mark. And I'm going to share one more song with you here coming up. But I just want you to know, like always, we covered a lot in this one, and we had a lot of new people listening in. So thank you. Thank you for staying with us. Come back next week. Love to have you. And share this with your friends, share it with your family, anybody that you think needs to hear it. The recording will be up on my fan page, facebook.com/bdavewalters. The videos are up on YouTube. Send me your questions to formspring.me/bdavewalters. I will answer them live on the air, and I won't use your name. You are great. I love you. And I'm going to leave you with one last thing that's going to drive all these points home. This is Yolanda Adams with Never Give Up. God bless.